Hi everyone, and welcome to the first actual video for my YouTube channel. I apologize for the shakiness of the camera. I'm actually using my iPhone to record this, and I haven't invested yet in a tripod to hold it still yet. But we're still going to go through some cards today. Uh, Picked up about 30 cards the other day at David Adams Sports Cards here in Western New York. It's about 10 miles from where I live. And this week we had a big sale. They had a card show. They also had Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen signing. And we're just going to take a look and see what I was able to pick up. All these cards were from the dollar bin. The newest card in the whole pile is from 1989. There's no 90s cards or 2000s cards. Most of these players you've heard of, but a few of them you might not have. And like I said, every card was $1, and I enjoyed what I got. So we're gonna start and go with look at the first card. So we got the first card here is a 1970 Topps Al B. Miller. For those of you who don't know, like I said, I'm from Western New York. Grew up a Buffalo Bills fan. Not really huge in the Bills anymore. I mean, I'm happy when they do good, but I'm more of a baseball fan. This 1970 Topps card, Al B. Miller. He played on the offensive line with the Buffalo Bills in the 1960s. Very underrated. According to the card, he's a national champion in Syracuse, 1960, and he also was, a famous offensive lineman for the Buffalo Bills at this point. He just about finished his career. And a very interesting fact, most people don't know, is he actually was a substitute teacher at my high school when I went there. He was a substitute teacher at Hutch Tech High School in Buffalo, New York, and I remember having him a few times. He was kind of a grumpy old man, and he is still living to this day. But I know he was a substitute teacher there at least for quite a few years after I graduated high school. But that's kind of interesting. So that's the first guy we got today. The next guy we got here is a 1971 Topps George Blanda. Not everyone really remembers George Blanda. He was obviously a kicker quarterback, most well known for the Raiders. He played both positions. He would throw the ball, score for the touchdown, and then he would kick the extra point. At one point he was the all-time leader in scoring. He is a member of the Football Hall of Fame, and even to this day, he's still first all-time in extra points. Adam Vinatieri hasn't caught him yet. It's a nice card, a little off-center in the back. I don't mind that. It's not the greatest card. Has some nice, decent corners. Not too bad. But that was a nice card. We have a 1978 Topps O.J. Simpson. This was his first card from, I would believe, when he was the San Francisco 49ers. If you look at his stats, he was with the Bills the entire time. Again, I'm Buffalo Bills fan. We all know a lot about O.J. Simpson. There was a lot of, he was in the media, of course. And we're not going to get into that stuff, but the corners are okay. They're not too bad. Again, these are all in the dollar bin. I don't really care about so much about the quality. I just enjoy the card. I don't. I mean, I really don't want to see creases in the card, but at the same time, a couple ding corners aren't going to, kill my enjoyment. Another card here again for you Buffalo Bills fans. We have a 1981 Topps Fred Smerlas rookie card. Fred Smerlas was a well-known nose tackle for the Buffalo Bills. He played for over a decade, almost a decade, with the Buffalo Bills. He wasn't there when they made the Super Bowls in the early '90s. At that point, he went to another team. In fact, he was with the Patriots for 2 seasons to end his career. But he was one of the Buffalo Bills, one of the better defenders of the Bills for the 1980s. Very underrated player, and he left after the 1989 season. So like I said, he didn't get a chance to really make it. It's a nice card. It's not really worth much, but it's a little more sentimental value than anything. Next card we have a 1982 Topps Ken Stabler, quarterback here. He was with the Houston Oilers at this point. Stabler is more well known for his time with the Oakland Raiders. He won Super Bowl 10 with them, and as you can see, that's probably mostly where it stands. Also, he was a four-time four-time Pro Bowler, and a Hall of Famer. And he, like I said, he was Super Bowl 10 winner, so he got a Super Bowl under the belt. But he went to a couple other teams late in his career. And then we have our last football card here. We have a 1987 Topps Bruce Smith. I like, this corners are really nice on this card. Again, Bruce Smith, one of the best defenders of all time. When you mention some of the best defenders, you're definitely going to want to talk about Bruce, Reggie White, LT, of course. Spent 15 years with Buffalo, 4 years with Washington. Like I said, one of the greatest defenders of all time, and of course he's in the Hall of Fame. All right, so that's it for the football cards. So now we're going to jump into the baseball cards, and we're going to start with the newest card I got on the list. This was a 1989 Donruss Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. Most people already know about this card. I already had one or two in my collection. I just wanted to add another one. I probably could have got more if I wanted to, but I'm not, I don't go crazy to have like a dozen of them. This card is not exactly the greatest of all of them. The ones I already have in my collection are a little bit better. But, everyone knows about Ken Griffey Jr. He had a great career with the Seattle Mariners. Just made the Hall of Fame not too long ago. For some reason, 3 people decided not to vote for him. To this day, I still wish I could figure out why. But can't win them all. I know he had, his back half of his career wasn't as great as his first half of his career. Let's just hope that with guys like Mike Trout, they continue to do the same thing. Continue to play at a top level and not fall off in the back half of their career. Okay, next card we got is a 1987 Topps Greg Maddux. Topps traded Greg Maddux. I did not have this card in my collection. I was very happy to add it to my collection. It's for the most part, most of the cards had minor imperfections. I wasn't crazy, about that. We all know about Greg Maddux, 300-game winner, part of the Atlanta Braves dynasty. Unfortunately, won one title, but he's part of the Hall of Fame, and definitely one of the greats. So nothing wrong with that. Next card we have here is 1986 Nolan Ryan. Surprisingly, I did not have this card in my collection, even though I have an 85, an 84, and an 83 Nolan Ryan. I did not have an 86 Nolan Ryan in my collection for some reason, and I decided to remedy that by getting that. Again, most people know who Nolan Ryan is, the all-time strikeout king, over 5,700 strikeouts in his career. Again, this card, it's a little off-center. Again, not really complaining about it. But, Nolan Ryan is another one they added to the PC. Had a terrific career, Hall of Famer. And my favorite moment of when he beat the heck out of Robin Ventura about 26 years ago now. Just a great moment when he just put him in a headlock and beat the heck out of him. Next card on my list here, I've got a 1984 Dennis Eckersley when he was with the Cubs. I like Dennis Eckersley. I'm a Boston Red Sox fan, so I enjoy watching Red Sox games on extra innings. I enjoy watching Dennis Eckersley as an analyst on the game sometimes. He's really good, and he's also had a great career with Boston, with the Cubs and Cleveland, Hall of Famer. He did one of the few players to do the starter and reliever thing, kind of like John Smoltz did later, in the 90s and 2000s. But Dennis Eckersley, great player. Another one I picked up here, 1984, Darryl Strawberry. Not his rookie card. I believe it's his second-year card. Again, it was a little off-center. Not really going to complain about it. I'm not going to really get these grade or anything. His rookie card? I don't think it's his rookie card, is it? If it is, I'm wrong. I'm not huge into sports cards. Like I'm picking everything back up again, so I don't quite remember everything. But Darryl Strawberry, had a pretty good career with the Mets. He won a title there in '86 against my Red Sox. I was only 6 at the time, so I really didn't know anything about it. He got a title later on with the Yankees too. I know he spent some time with the Yankees. I remember watching that. But he had a pretty decent career. But if he would have been able to keep it together, not be injured, and who knows, maybe drugged out, might have had a Hall of Fame career. But that's okay. It's one for the collection. Next one we got here is a 1983 George Brett card. Looking pretty angry down there, but this is before he even, I believe this is the year of the famous Pine Tar game. I mean, if you know anything about George Brett, you know that he he hit a home run to win the game against the Yankees, and then because they found too much pine tar on the bat, he was called out, and the game was over. They wound up having to replay the end of the game anyway because they found that was illegal. But George Brett, great player. In 1980, he made a run at 400. I actually read a great article about it in this month's Beckett Vintage, or maybe it was last month's Beckett Vintage magazine. A great article about both the run at 400 and the pine tar incident. Another great card. All right, next one we have on the list. Oops. We got a nice 1982 Topps Carlton Fisk with the White Sox. Again, I'm a Red Sox fan, but I enjoy Carlton Fisk. He had some great half of a career with the Red Sox and another half of a career with the White Sox. Great catcher. I believe he still holds the record for most games caught as a catcher. I could be wrong on that. If I'm wrong, feel free to put something in the comments to let me know if that was wrong or not. Again, nice card to add to the PC. We have a couple more. We're gonna have a couple more 82 cards to come here on the Topps. Got an 82 Topps Ozzie Smith. The Wizard of Oz. Here's with the San Diego Padres. He cut his teeth with the Padres for a couple years before he made his huge run with the St. Louis Cardinals. He always used to do the backflips. He was just a great defensive player. Didn't have the offensive numbers. Look, I mean, according to this, he only had one home run in his first 4 seasons in the majors. But he was definitely a great one. Okay, so now we have a Rickey Henderson, 1982. This is his 3rd year card. Again, a little off center, but no big deal. Rickey Henderson, the all-time stolen base king, and probably going to be the all-time stolen base king for many, many, many years to come. Definitely not going to be broken in this lifetime unless they change the way the game goes. It's like anything, no one's ever going to catch the win record unless they change the way the game is played. Same thing with like Wayne Gretzky in hockey. You're never going to change. If they don't change the game, no one's ever going to catch these numbers. But this is a great card to add to the PC. We have a 1982 Mike Schmidt, Mr. Philly, one of the greatest third basemen of all time. At this point, he'd already won his title in 1980. He was a great third baseman for the Philadelphia Phillies. He'd been with the league for quite a while at this point, but he was in the middle of a real big Hall of Fame career. Mike Schmidt, another good one. I saw this one. I had to pick it up too. We got a 1982 Topps rookie card. Terry Francona, currently the manager of the Cleveland Indians, and also Bryn Smith. He had a pretty good career with the Expos, but Terry Francona makes this card. Terry Francona, of course, managed the Red Sox and now manages the Cleveland Indians. This card's a little banged up, but it didn't let it really bother me too much. Another good card for the collection. Next thing we have a 1981 Topps Ozzie Smith. This is I believe this is his third year card. Could be wrong on that, but Ozzie Smith, we already talked about him before. Another great card of before he was with the Cardinals. So we'll go through that one quickly. We have another Dennis Eckersley. This one's from 81. This time he's with the Red Sox. Look at that hair. Oh my God. That is just crazy hair. Pete Rose had a hairstyle kind of like that too. But I mean, who's to complain when you're one of the greats? I mean, he wasn't the closer Eck that we knew him later on with Oakland, but he still was a pretty good starter. So we got that. All right, we also have a 81 Carl Yastrzemski. Yaz from the Boston Red Sox. Again, I'm being a Red Sox fan, got to pick up the Red Sox cards. And I actually didn't really have many Yastrzemski cards. I don't think I even had one, except for maybe one from like the end of his career. That's basically worth pennies. I mean, even this one's probably only worth what I paid for it, about $1. But it's a nice card. I mean, great Hall of Famer. Just just played offense or outfield, first base. Um, Probably other than I don't know, he's probably the last player to play his entire career with the Red Sox to really to really go crazy. I mean, David Ortiz started with Minnesota. Manny left for Dodgers. I mean, Pedroia maybe. He's probably never going to play again. But Yastrzemski, one of the all-time career Red Sox. Okay, we got a Rickey Henderson. 1981 Topps Rickey Henderson. Doesn't look like he's too happy to be taking a picture here that day, but he was happy. He was a stolen base king. I mean, he had 100+ stolen bases in 1980. Just another great season by Rickey. Great player. The second year card. I would love to get the 1980 Topps, but maybe someday. Okay, next one we have is the 1981 Topps Fernando Valenzuela and Mike Scioscia rookie card. Now this card has a few dings on it. It's not in the best shape. It's actually not that bad. A little off center. Left to right there. It's kind of angled too. It's like you see, it's kind of like it goes down at like an angle. So I mean, it's kind of miscut and misangled at the same time. But it's pretty awesome. And Fernando Valenzuela, for those of you who are old enough, remember Fernando Mania. I wasn't, but I do remember him pitching when I was a kid. I know ESPN did a 30 for 30 on Fernando Valenzuela. And then Mike Scioscia, longtime manager for the Angels. I know he's not the manager anymore, but he was with them for so long. Got the one title with them in 2002. Just a great all-around, catcher. Two great players. I don't know who Jack Bercanti is, unfortunately. Unfortunately, he didn't make the cut, apparently, for having a good career. All right, we're starting to get a little older here. 1980 Topps Mike Schmidt. Apparently, it's always funny looking at these cards. Like, he didn't, he in this picture, he doesn't even realize that they're going to win the title in 1980. Philadelphia's big championship, first one. I don't remember. Like, it had been like, was it their first, or was it first in like 70 years? It was a long time since Philadelphia had won a title. A little dinged up. There's a little bit of some kind of mark on the front, but beggars can't be choosers, especially if it's just for a personal collection. I don't get these cards to turn them around and sell them. I just do them for fun of it. 1980 Dennis Eckersley, again, another great card from him. He was with the Red Sox at the time. We're getting a little bit older now. We got the 1979 Al Oliver. I never saw Al Oliver play. I've done some research into him though, and I mean, I think the guy had a great career. I would say he was like the Hall of Very Good. I did some research, and he had 2,700 hits. He batted .303, which was pretty good. And I mean, he had 43.7 wins above replacement, which wasn't fantastic, but it was still pretty good. So I mean, he's a Hall of Very Good. I mean, at this point, he had been in the league for over a decade. Long time Pirate, but at this point, he was with the Rangers. Most people remember from the Pirates of the '70s, and unfortunately, he was gone from the Pirates before they won the title in 1979. Okay, we have a 1979 Bob Horner rookie card. If I can get in focus here. Come on. Bob Horner wasn't the greatest player. Again, I did a little more research into him. He did hit 4 home runs in a game in 1987. That's probably what he's best known for. And, I mean, I looked him up on Baseball Reference, and his career is most resembling guys like Phil Nevin and Preston Wilson. So I mean, he was just a good player. I thought I saw the card. I'm like, I got to pick this card up. It's pretty cool. Rookie card of somebody who had a decent career in the '80s. Not too bad. All right, so we have a 1979 Don Baylor. Baylor was another good player in the 70s and 80s. He definitely had a magnet in him for baseballs. He was hit by pitch quite a few times. He was fourth all time in hit by pitch. He did play forever. He played in 19 seasons, and he was part of the '87 World Series team in Minnesota. He kind of bounced around a lot of places, but another good player. We're almost down to the end here. We got 3 cards left. We got a 1979 Topps Fred Lynn. You know, I'm a Red Sox fan. Got to pick up my Red Sox. Fred Lynn spent 17 years in the majors. He was a 300 home run guy. He made the All-Star team 9 times. Again, I did a little research on him, and his career most resembles guys like Bobby Bonilla and Shawn Green. Definitely, Fred Lynn was definitely one of the what-ifs of baseball. If maybe if he didn't get hurt all the time, he might have been one of the greats. But he did spend a long time with the Red Sox. His wins above replacements was around 50 for his whole career. All right, now we have a 1974 Joe Morgan. Again, this is one of those interesting things. Joe Morgan doesn't even realize that the Big Red Machine is going to go crazy in the next few years. Hall of Famer, of course, on base percentage machine. You know, he spent 8 seasons with the Reds. He made the All-Star team all 8 seasons. He was MVP 75, 76. I don't even care if this card is miscut. This is just a great card of a great Hall of Fame player. It's just going right into PC. You know, Gold Glove winner 5 times. You know, Rookie of the Year. It even says it on the card. Rookie of the Year 1965. And finally, we come across the oldest card I picked up, a 1973 Billy Williams. You can see there's a mark on. There's like a water stain or a grease mark or something on there. Again, I don't really care. The rest of the card's in pretty good shape. He was a Hall of Famer. Spent a lot of time with the Cubs. He spent 16 seasons with the Cubs, so of course he didn't make the playoffs because the Cubs never made the playoffs in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Before he went to 2 years in Oakland, and then he was with, unfortunately, the 1 year. By the time he got to Oakland, Oakland's run of 3 titles had come to an end. They lost to Boston in the 75 ALCS. He spent 18 years in the league, you know, he was Rookie of the Year in 1961. And he had 2,700 hits. So I saw that for $1. I'm like, wow, that's a nice old card. And I've heard of Billy Williams, but again, I had to do a little bit more research on him. Like I said, I'm really interested in these vintage cards, and I think this was a great pickup for $1. So that pretty much does it for all the cards today. Like I said, I picked these up at a card show at Dave and Adams. Which card is your favorite? If you happen to have one that you think was, you know, one of your favorite cards, or maybe it brings some memories of your past, something like that. You know, feel free to leave a comment in the below. Also, like the video and subscribe. Again, I have another video that I'm probably going to do soon. That's going to be more cards I picked up, just to give you an idea of one of them that I got. This was from a flea market out in Clarence, New York. I picked up a nice 1987 O-Pee-Chee Barry Bonds. Don't really see that card around much, you know. But that's just one of the cards, and there's a little bit of football and hockey in the next video. But a lot of baseball cards. Baseball is usually my number 1 sport, followed by football and then hockey. But again, thanks for tuning in. And you know, if you have any questions or comments, leave them below, and we'll meet again soon. Take care.